You're listening to Nice-ish, a podcast about reality TV and your opinions, with your hosts, Cindy and Grace. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 22 of Nice-ish. This is a special episode for us because we are welcoming our first guest to the podcast, our good friend, professional Bravo instigator, Twitter's own Warthog Barbie,
Yay.
Justin. Woohoo! So I first met Justin on Twitter many years ago, and we hit it off right away, but we don't always agree on our Housewives preferences. We tend to be opposites on most. We do have a great love for Mary M. Cosby, though, so that's good. Grace and I finally got a chance to meet him in person in 2019 at the very first BravoCon. Which was amazing.
It was so fun. We had such a great time.
Yeah, there were a lot of problems with the first one, but it's just special because it was the first.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Getting to meet all of your friends and stuff like that, that you've talked about Housewives with for forever.
Yeah.
And being like, oh, I know you on Twitter. I've never met you face to face, but I know you.
I feel like I know you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. And so we all stayed at the same hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Justin almost didn't. It's funny now. We can laugh about it now.
Right.
But at the time, Justin kind of got swindled. And they did not have a reservation for him, even though he paid for one.
Yeah.
So it all worked out in the end. Still got one, but he had to pay twice.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Did he get his money back?
I don't know if he ever did.
We'll have to ask him.
I don't know.
It was so long ago, but now I
know
need
that the
to know.
website doesn't exist anymore where he got it from.
God. So Justin will be sitting in with us to talk Real Housewives of New York and Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So we've got a ton to cover. So let's just jump right in. Let's talk about episode 2 of RHONY. It starts with Brynn inviting Erin over to her apartment to discuss their fractured friendship, and the evening before, where Brynn left in tears after feeling attacked by Erin and Sai. Brynn kind of sets the tone, being on her phone when Erin arrives and not even getting up off the couch to greet her or give her a hug. She also gave her tap water, which I thought was particularly vicious. And so it sounds like Brynn is still holding on to a lot of hurt over an interview Erin did on Jeff Lewis's radio show, where he asked Erin where Brynn gets her money and if she thinks that Brynn basically has a sugar daddy.
Yeah.
Erin says no, she doesn't think so, but Brynn still feels like Erin should have defended her more. So that leads me into a tweet of mine, which was, on last night's RHONY, this conversation with Brynn and Erin, are you guys leaning a certain way? I feel like I understand Erin's point more, I guess. And we got a tweet from @ShannonCita, who said, I was curious if Brynn is mad at Jeff. I mean, why is she directing all this towards Erin? He asked for her opinion and she gave it to him. I'm so confused, but I think Brynn thrives on drama and conflict. And her being on her phone when Erin walked in, annoying. So what did you, Justin, think about the whole scene with Erin and Brynn at her apartment?
So to preface this, I do just in 2 episodes, I think Brynn is really playing it up for the cameras already. So while I think she was upset with Erin, it's a little put on for me, being on her phone. The tap water was funny. I mean, that's the petty stuff we love. We love that on Housewives. That's what we like, but it's a little misplaced. Sure. Can she be a little ticked at Erin? Cause I mean, Erin didn't say anything bad, but yeah, she could have been like, oh no, Jeff, like that's not true. She could have played it off.
And she kind of did.
Kinda. So, 10% of me, I'm like, okay, Brynn, like I get where you're mad, but it's definitely misplaced.
What about you, Grace? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's misplaced too. And I actually think that Erin came into that conversation pretty open to be like, I'm sorry, I'm this, I'm that. And I just feel like Brynn wasn't really giving her anything. She was kind of still mad. I don't really know why, because it seems like this conversation wasn't as deep as she's making it.
Yeah. I mean, when they replayed the Jeff Lewis clip, Jeff was really pushing the narrative that there was some sort of sugar daddy. Erin said, no, I don't think so. I mean, she kind of laughed, and I get maybe why Brynn's feelings are hurt, but it really was kind of all Jeff.
Yeah. He kind of teed the whole thing up.
Well, like Kyle says, tits on an ant. She's making an issue out of nothing. But that kind of brings up a point I always try to tell people with Housewives in general. These feuds seem crazy, and they are 99.9% of the time. But they're reacting to stuff that we all do normally in our everyday lives. It's just not recorded. If your friend sends a stupid text or says something stupid in a group chat or a tweet you see, you talk about it with your friend. Can you believe they said that? How stupid, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But you keep it moving. It doesn't mean you hate that person. It doesn't mean you think that person's an idiot. But, had there been a camera there when you said that and then that friend sees it, of course their butt hurts. So always try to remind people it's crazy, but we would react the same way. We just don't typically see what our friends say when we, walk out the door from their place. So I think that's...
And I wouldn't want to know.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yes. Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah.
So another big part of the episode is when we find out what Erin's issue is with her husband, Abe. It was teased in the season trailer that was released weeks ago that there was this big secret that he's been keeping from Erin. And we've kind of all been speculating the worst, but it turns out that Abe cashed out their Bitcoin account and used the money to pay bills that Erin thought were already paid. So Erin had plans to pay off half their mortgage with that money. Jeez, must have been a lot in there.
Yeah.
And went to access the account thinking that there was a lot of money they'd made over time because she hadn't looked at it in years. She said years. Oh my God. Who doesn't look at an account for years? But the money was gone. So she's obviously pissed. And Abe said he felt pressure to keep up the lifestyle that Erin was accustomed to. Thoughts? Would you be pissed? How could you not be pissed?
I'd be pissed. I think what made me go, oh, was when she talked about it had been sold for a while. I mean, when she looked, he had sold it, but not only had he sold it, it was like months and months ago. So
Grace, you watched it back. What? Because I wasn't quite getting why she thought these bills were already paid.
Right. So I think what had happened though is that they had invested their money in Bitcoin, but there was also, Erin was talking about the business that she had previously, that it was like handbags or whatever, and that didn't do well. So I think she thought that debt was already paid and behind them, and that's what he took the money for, was to pay off debt that she already thought was gone.
So she went in the account to cash out to pay part of their mortgage, and then the money was just gone because he paid it on bills she thought were already paid.
Correct.
Yes.
And he had pulled it out a while back. That would piss me off more. That was a bigger red flag than him cashing it out. Like, yes, he should have told her, but I wasn't shocked. I mean, it happens all the time. The fact that, and I'm pretty sure she said it was like months back and he hadn't told her, that's the red flag to me, because you've knowingly gone along with this narrative of like, oh yeah, it's sitting there. And she said he sold it before it had even hit a high, like I think it's like 60 something grand a Bitcoin right now. He probably sold it when it was 30, 20, 30, 40. That's a lot of money you're missing out on.
Did he think he was going to make that money back somehow?
I know.
How do you not tell her and then think she's not going to notice at some point?
Well, she doesn't check the account, so I think he thought he had some time.
Probably thought, okay, she won't look. Then they fall in these money problems, and they may not even be having true money. Everyone's like, oh, they're poor. Well, not necessarily.
No, Jenna's poor.
Yeah.
In that Bentley,
If he doesn't tell her this, do you think he's not being totally honest about other things, because I know I've seen on social media, people are like, at first thought maybe there was an affair and all this kind of stuff. And it turned out that that wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's lying about money, is he lying about other things? Or is that a leap?
I definitely don't think it's a leap. It's plausible, but I don't know. You know, it's like, it's hard to say because, again, it's kind of like that excuse I always throw around. You're seeing 15 minutes of a, 3-hour dinner conversation. What we have seen in a season plus 2 episodes of a second season, he seems generally, just first impression, like a decent guy. Where he gets himself in trouble is he did it and then didn't tell her and didn't fess up till she caught it. So that just, it sets your, I don't know, warning signals off.
Well, I mean, everybody said that about Giselle last season with her husband. Like, oh my God, he's not flying to Thailand to get a sandwich. He's cheating on you.
But he was.
He was
flying to Thailand for a sandwich.
And it wasn't that wasn't, so that shows like these people, like the bubble they live in, like they want to pretend they have all this money and whatever. I have plenty of friends that travel international and have lots of points. That is not crazy to say, oh, I'm going to Thailand and getting a sandwich and coming back. People do that all the time. I'm going on a quick week. He didn't literally mean land at 6 p.m., eat at 9 and leave at 8 a.m. the next morning. He meant go for a weekend, get a sandwich, so again, tits on an ant. They're making it something so they're going to think that he's cheating.
I had to take back my statement. I thought he was.
Yeah, see, and I never, the minute they said that, I'm like, but again, you may not, it's all that's where the show is so interesting. Everybody's like life experience and like people they know and whatever plays into your opinion. I know people that have done that. So of course I'm like, dude, he was just redeeming some points.
I think the problem though was that they said that they weren't having sex, and that was why then it was like, okay, now we can make this leap into
totally. Yeah. So it wasn't unfounded. But.
Right. But it's also produced and it's made to look a certain way. And honestly, production doesn't really care all that much who they hurt.
Correct.
It's like we're producing a show, so
that they willingly signed up for.
Yes. So if you look like an ass and a cheater, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Not my problem.
Not my problem. All right, let's talk about classic RHONY versus the new RHONY. Because I know Justin isn't necessarily a fan of classic RHONY. So I had tweeted out, okay, yes, I'm a classic RHONY fan that thought changes were needed, but the whole show didn't need to be scrapped. That said, this is what we have now. I'm trying to embrace it, but last night's episode, this can't be it. You watched it. Did you think anything other than, oh my God, I'm bored?
I know everyone's going to think I'm hee hee ha ha, but it was not, it was not overly exciting, but to me, it was enjoyable. I think people in the last couple of years on Housewives, they just expect this big to do every single episode, every single time. They want this deep, deep, dark season of betrayal. RHONY to me has always been, classic RHONY and new RHONY has always been not always lighthearted, but it's just fun, even if it's stupid.
Yeah.
I admittedly am not the biggest fan of classic RHONY. It had its, I wasn't a total hater, but I was not like, oh my gosh, it's canceled. Right. I saw a tweet a while back, and I always think of you when I think of the tweet, and someone was like, hey, when you watch classic RHONY back, like later seasons classic RHONY back, now that like it's been a little while since it's canceled, and I'll have to pull up who said it, but they were like, I cringe, and it's true because it's one of those, like, you're watching it with rose-colored glasses. And so, again, that doesn't mean that, like, deletes, 14 seasons of a classic show. But I don't think it needed a full reboot. But personally, I enjoyed the first season of the reboot, and 2 episodes in, I think the newbies are bringing an interesting dynamic we've maybe not seen on RHONY before. So personally, I'm just watching it with an open mind, but I get it. People are, we had a long, it'd be like Beverly Hills being rebooted for me. That's my favorite. So if it got rebooted, I'd be like, screw the new one, but I'm not surprised people have such a, people, AKA you, have such a, such a love hate with classic versus new, and that's okay, but I think for me, I've enjoyed kind of this different pace. It's kind of a slow, and that's not boring to me.
Grace, you had a comment to me about calling it RHONY.
Oh, right. Yeah. I forgot I said that.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was good. I hope I remember what I said. Yeah, I don't think that they should have called what the show that we have now RHONY, because I see tweets all the time that are like, you can't compare the old one to the new one because it's not that. Well, you're calling it the same show. So it's almost impossible to not compare the two. Right. You're telling us that this should be the same as what we had before. It's not.
Right.
And I just, I love classic RHONY. I wish that they had kept Luann and Dorinda. Sonia, maybe. I could have gone either way with Sonia, and then centered it around them. Get rid of Ramona. We don't need her. God, Leah, please go. And Ebony can go too. I would have liked to have seen Vershawn too. I think she could have gotten moved up. I thought her story was great. Mm-hmm. So I think they could have done a lot more than just thrown it away.
I would agree. I think you had said something like maybe calling it Real Housewives of Manhattan or
Brooklyn.
Just something so that we're not constantly comparing them. Well, I have a tweet from @_Arthur Becker _ who said, I've been the biggest supporter of the RHONY reboot, but last night was one of the dullest episodes of any Housewives in recent memory. Having Giselle on a total of 5 minutes was a mistake. Sai is unlikable. Erin and Jenna don't do it for me. And Brynn is overproduced. I'm worried. So I got a lot of comments I saw under there talking about it feeling performative and overproduced. Do you have a favorite on this new cast?
I think Erin currently, because Erin is that quintessential, think she's so self-aware, but she's not. She's that perfect housewife, and she can dish it but can't take it. And yes, it's grating, but it's perfect for the show. I personally like Jenna. She totally sticks out. I don't pretend she's like this amazing fit for RHONY, but she's endearing to me in a weird way. I don't want her on for 10 more seasons. I enjoyed her last season, and I think we will get an interesting take on her this season, but I don't see her again as a long-standing, but I think that's why I like her, because I'm like, she's just quirky. She's serving, again, a different personality we maybe have not had on New York before. But can I talk about my least favorite this season so far?
Oh, absolutely.
Is Giselle. And let me tell you what, I understand. I fully understand on this show. They know they're on TV. They want, they read these tweets. They see the reviews. Where Brynn is overproduced, Giselle is so annoyingly pretentious to me. And while I get the quick argument from anybody of, well, that's Housewives, it is. But Giselle acts like she is this, like when she and Pavitt were going to the kind of hole in the wall Asian restaurant for his food reviews, and she's going, this is it. Like you've never driven through a dumpy McDonald's or eaten at a food car before. It just didn't feel genuine. She's probably that pretentious, but I don't know. I feel like she saw the fan love of her last season. She was the underdog. Nobody thought she'd do anything, and she was great. I think it's gone to her head, kind of like Brynn, and maybe in a different way, but Brynn and Giselle to me are both not they're just not real to me currently. But we're 2 episodes in. But you know, I hate when go, it's only 2 episodes. Well, that's my take so far. That's what I've seen.
What about you, Grace? Do you have a favorite or a least favorite?
Well, I don't want to share my favorite, but you know,
no judgment.
Yeah, no judgment.
No, I actually like Giselle. I think that right now she sticks out to me because she is pretentious, and maybe I like a pretentious housewife. It's very Heather Dubrow to me. Sure. Like I'm up here, you're down here. Very, you know, that type of deal. And maybe it's because I think that her pretentiousness is really her. Like, I actually fully believe that if I went and met her, that she would act the exact same way. I don't think that
she'd complain about the subway.
Oh yeah, I think 100% she would. So I think that's why Brynn is my least favorite too, is for the exact opposite reason of Giselle. Is I think that she has that performative, like, sexy shtick. It doesn't work. You don't have to do that with every single person you meet.
Right.
And people that are in relationships. Stop doing it to people that actually have partners or husbands, like that type of deal. Because that's not cute. People will not trust you around, like, their partners. If you keep doing that, they're going to be like, oh, this chick's, you know, keeps flirting with me. So, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Brynn that much right now.
So is Sai getting by as middle of the road now? Because she probably was the most unliked last season, do you think?
Oh, 1,000,000,000,000%. I think Sai's flying under the radar because she's not, again, 2 episodes in, but she hasn't brought anything so far. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. You know, I mean, I think 50% of her, you know, I'm going to therapy because the viewers trashed her, but I do believe a lot of these women after the season, they're like, holy crap, like, I was a horrible human being. But, you know, to be determined on Sai, but she's under the radar currently, but not today. Say in, that made me like, you know, she gives me a chuckle. I get the hatred for her and I get the like for her, you know.
So who is your favorite and least favorite? Do you have either?
I don't know. I gotta say, with Sai, I can appreciate that she looked back on the season and thought, I came off terrible. I looked terrible. I didn't even like myself. So, I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day. She's going to have setbacks. She's going to scream at people. That's going to happen. But I actually don't mind her. I like starting over at the beginning of each season anyway. I have my favorites that I'll always like Dorinda or somebody who I'm like, no. And I don't care if she's horrible. I don't care if she's mean to Tinsley. I don't care about any of that. I really don't.
Yeah, she's not mean to me.
No, she's not my friend. I don't know her. I don't pretend to know her. So would she make me cry? She would absolutely make me cry. I get it. But she's in my Mount Rushmore. I love her.
Fair.
But I will start over every season with everyone else. And so for Sai, that's where I am. I'm starting over with her and I don't mind her that much. Brynn is on my last nerve. 2 episodes in and I'm tired of her.
Yep.
So she would be my least. I don't really have a favorite. I go up and down.
I don't know.
They're like Salt Lake City to me. I like people in one episode and the next episode I can't stand them. That's how I feel with RHONY.
No, I get it. I just picked a favorite because I had to. I was trying to.
You didn't have to.
Well, I mean, for the game,
Okay.
You know,
It's for the plot.
Yeah.
So jury's out on everybody. Jenna might be one of my least liked.
I get it. She's gonna be a quirky. I get it. Again, I'm not immune. All my problematic favorites aside across the franchises, I'm not. I truly think I have a decent grasp on, like, you know, she's not gonna be for everybody. Now I love Raquel. She is gorgeous. She's brand new. We've not seen, but she just stunning to me. She just every time her confessionals come up, I'm like, man, she killed it. You know, and
I liked her.
Her
I liked her.
Seems interesting. She she doesn't seem, again, 2 episodes, she doesn't seem like she came on with an agenda. Like she kind of knows, like, I'm kind of a weird. I loved her interaction with Jenna and Jenna's like fiance's mom. It was like, it really felt like it wasn't that forced. Like, I met Jenna 6 months ago at an art gallery and we become close, when they haven't talked since they met and they just did it for the show. I liked their banter and their kind of how they related. So she was a strong start for me. Not like a top housewife by any means, but I'm excited to see kind of how she does this season.
Raquel is the more interesting version of Jenna.
Edgier. She's like an edgier Jenna.
Yeah, I would co-sign that. What about Rebecca?
So, unpopular opinion. Again, verdict is out. She might be a snooze. As y'all know, in our group chat, we were kind of talking about her and her ties to Scientology and how that's becoming problematic. I fully get the argument. I just personally don't subscribe to the mindset of, oh, well, she's a top Scientologist and that brings a lot of attention to something that shouldn't be glorified. And yeah, on paper, that's true. We're watching Housewives. We don't say that about the housewives that are doing, pyramid schemes. We don't say that about our favorite housewives that are true. And again, I don't care if someone's Republican or Democrat, but true Trumper housewives. I don't care people like someone like Kelly Dodd. She was a great housewife during her time. She just went off the deep end. But like, there's a line, and I think for Housewives, we give a lot of like leeway and grace for that. And she said it best. You want to know? Read a book. Yeah. Is that a great answer for reality TV? No. But she knows she can't win. So I'm not going to be mad at her for not sharing, because if she shared, I'd be like, okay, girl, shut up. So again, probably might not be a great friend of, but I'm like, let's watch the season and then be like, hey, she sucked.
Grace, you had a really great theory about why we forgive older veteran housewives versus newbies that come on.
Yeah, I think it's because we have seen all of these housewives like 10, 15 plus years. I mean, some of these shows have been going on a really long time. Yeah. And back then there wasn't social media. You only really knew what you saw of them for that hour. So somebody who's like, loves Vicky still, it's really easy to make a case for her, like to be like, well, yeah, I know this about her, but look at all the great TV that we've had previously.
Right.
So it's really hard to do that with new people, because now it's like, well, they're brand new. You made the casting decision to do that. Right. Why did you do that?
We have nothing invested in newbie Rebecca to make me want to fight for her.
Sure.
Whereas with Vicky, where there were so many funny things to me. So then I'm like, well, I can look past that. She might vote for someone I don't vote for because I don't care as much. But why should I care about Rebecca?
Sure.
Right now.
And that's just the reality of watching TV. Is it annoying? Sure. But that's, I mean, anybody that's like, can you believe that? Yes, I can, because that's how it works.
All right, let's wrap up New York and we'll get into talking about this week's episode of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So let's move on to Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. The women are still in Milwaukee, and it gets back to Lisa that Angie and Whitney were talking a little smack about her to Meredith. So Lisa decides that she doesn't want to go on the outing to the beer caves, which, I'm sorry, that would be one of my favorite trips. Going to a beer cave, having beer and cheese, and listening to Mary talk about her dad knowing Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean,
A+ trip.
Yeah, I don't need to go to Mexico or anywhere. I would go to Milwaukee for beer.
I know. And when they when they said that the cast trip was going to be to Milwaukee, I was like, are you for real? Yeah. Really?
But so Lisa decides she doesn't want to go on the outing to the beer caves and grabs probably the first two people she saw in the hallway.
Correct.
Because she took Brittany and Maylee. So kind of weird choices.
Very weird.
I didn't like, so I don't even drink, and I was jealous of the beer cave. It was just really cool. And I know these women don't know like how a event's going to go, but if I was Maylee, I'd be watching that back, kicking myself because I didn't like any part of it. Lisa was a loser to me to do that. Mm-hmm. It kind of detracts from the whole point of the show. You want them. I mean, if she didn't want to go, she didn't want to go. Like whatever. Right. But you can't deny you picked two randos, and you picked Maylee, who seems sweet. She's gorgeous to look at, but hasn't had really. She's had one confessional, and then Brittany, who's a whack job. I mean, I didn't buy it. I didn't like it.
I don't think Bronwyn bought it either. I think she said something too about them being random picks.
Yeah, that it was literally the first two people that you ran into, and that's who you chose.
Yeah. But the best part of the episode, I think, was the dinner with everyone. Because shit always goes down.
Always.
At the dinner table.
Yeah, at the Harley Davidson store. Yeah.
Yes. So Whitney opens it up by gifting everyone one of her custom designed necklaces, which is kind of hilarious considering that everyone at the table thinks they're from Alibaba. So this is a Whitney original here.
Made in China on the back.
From a curated vendor.
Yeah.
So Whitney keeps trying to engage Meredith into a conversation, but Lisa kind of talks over everyone and speaks for Meredith, and then kind of completely hijacks the whole conversation. And then all of a sudden it's about Lisa and Angie. Thoughts?
First, we have to talk about Angie kicking the chair over and nobody batting an eye. I mean, I love my feta queen, but stupid. Just stupid.
It looked planned.
It was so planned. But that's the beauty of this show. I love her so much. I'm like, kick that chair, girl. Kick it. But
how do you feel about Lisa?
Lisa is an Erin to me. She can dish it, but cannot take it. You love to hate her. I don't think that's would even be a shock to Lisa herself. You love to hate her. I'm sure to her friends, she's a good friend, but I think it's a very select few people she's that good of a friend to. I mean, it's not a crime for somebody to just not be a deep friend to somebody. That's not a crime. You know? I mean, you may not want it, but it's so Lisa doesn't, at least on the show, have a lot of depth to her. And so I think that's her downfall. It's like she's very surface and just can't take it. And I mean, Angie was has eaten her alive the last 5 episodes or 4 episodes. And she just, it's like, girl, give up. Just give it up for a minute. I love Lisa for the show, but I'm not a fan this season so far.
Grace?
Well, I thought it was funny that Lisa doesn't seem to understand the point of what a steamroller is, because she is a steamroller completely. I'm like, you're literally doing what they are accusing you of doing. And you don't seem to understand that you just totally take over the conversation. Whitney was talking to Meredith, and somehow Meredith didn't have to do anything.
No.
She just sat there. I think the one person I did not hear from the entire dinner was Meredith. And we literally started with her. It was supposed to be an issue that Whitney was having with Meredith. And I do not want to hear the crap of, oh my God, I was worried about you. I just wanted people to know because I was
from
concerned.
Meredith?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that we get. What? No, you're not concerned. What are you talking about? Like, just own that you were talking about her because you're mad at her about the bath bomb thing. That's what it is. Like, which is
those bath bombs. Oh my God.
So it's just like, I don't know. And then Lisa just totally made it about her.
Yes. All right, let's move on. So then Lisa brings up Angie talking behind her back and literally gets a gasp from everybody at the table when she mentions Angie's daughter, Electra. And Lisa says that Angie uses her daughter to get off the phone with her. Now, Brittany speaks up. Of all people, the one lady who doesn't talk to her two kids is offended that she brought in the kids. But did what Lisa say attack Angie's daughter, or is it just like, why go there at all? Why mention her at all? What do you think about that?
I don't think it's an attack. But
does it open the door?
On Housewives World, it opens the door. I mean, that door blew wide open. It was not an attack on Elektra, but it's a low blow because Elektra's not filming with these women. She's filming with her mom. You know, it's not a New Jersey and Gia thing where Gia films with those women all the time. And they're like, I can't believe you talked about her. She's literally getting a paycheck and a confessional and whatever. So it was a low blow. I think on paper, it doesn't open the door for retaliation, but in practice, you already know it's going down.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why. I have no idea why Lisa decided to even throw out her daughter's name. I actually think that after Lisa did it, she kind of looked like she probably shouldn't have. She kind of to me, it looked like she was like, shit, I probably shouldn't have went there. I think I pushed this a little too far.
And Angie was almost in tears. So once a housewife starts crying, you know.
Yeah. Everybody at the table was kind of stunned too. Bronwyn looked like she was like Lisa, what are you doing?
And Angie even said it. She's like, you know, I didn't have a mom growing up. Like, that is my pride and joy. So even if it wasn't that deep, and I'm not saying it wasn't, but even if it wasn't that deep, it totally hit her sore spot. So
yes,
it doesn't matter what you said.
I know. Well, like, how long do you have to be on the phone with Lisa for? How long is she calling you? That's what.
Probably as long as Shannon calls.
I know.
I believe Lisa, love her or hate her, she is behind those scenes on the phone, stirring it up. So I mean, Angie's not lying.
Right.
And they have had a friendship. You know, this is not a TV friendship. I mean, they have known each other a long time.
It only takes one season to break up a lifelong friendship.
And they know better. You know, they signed up for this. They know better.
So Brittany breaks the tension by telling everyone that she has an announcement. My favorite part of the entire episode is Miriam Cosby rolling her eyes the second Brittany opens her mouth.
Yes.
She can't hide her contempt. She hates her. It is so funny to me.
Oh, yeah. She can't stand her. Like, immediately can't stand her. She barely said, I have, like, as soon as her first word was spoken, Mary was already like, oh my God, like, this bitch is talking.
Again.
I do not care.
Yes. It's super funny to me.
I think she specifically said in her confessional that she wanted her 5 minutes back.
Yeah, if she's going to explain for 5 minutes. But can I throw it back to the first episode on something with Brittany? She's a cuckoo bird. I don't like her. She's not going to last. Because, again, these women, it's the same thing as Alexis. They focus on one thing, and they think it's this big, like, oh, my God, it's Donny Osmond's brother, and people are going to love it. In La La Land, sure, but like we don't. It runs, you know, it falls flat. But Mary's distaste from Brittany is obviously from the first episode with the costume comment and the pour. But I'm gonna say something kind of unpopular opinion. I don't think Brittany said anything that bad the first episode. She didn't say Mary grew up in a crack house and had no money. I mean, Mary talked about we didn't have a lot. Anybody with two brain cells that says that, the first thing you're going to assume is, oh, they probably grew up without money. So I don't think Brittany said anything that offensive. And let's be honest, to the average person, which Brittany's obviously not normal, but she's not like some billionaire, you know, heiress. Bronwyn's costume was costuming. I mean, whether you like it or her outfit was costuming. So
I think Mary doesn't like when people try too hard with her.
Yep.
And I think Brittany came in kind of hot with that.
Correct.
And that's an immediate turnoff.
But I don't think...
I mean, you have to work for Mary.
Sure. Mary's
So-
not wrong in how she feels about Brittany. I get why she's mad. I see it. I agree with a good chunk of it, but I don't think what Brittany did upon first introduction warranted the level of distaste from Mary.
It never does.
No.
But it's Mary. I mean, we wouldn't want it any other way. And so, but
Yeah.
what are we? What is this? 4 episodes? 5 episodes? Seeing how cuckoo Brittany is, I'm like, okay, well, now it's warranted. Not that we
Right.
ever needed another example, but, you know,
Yeah, Mary pegged her from the beginning. We didn't know,
yes.
but now we know.
She looks like
yeah.
a different person every time she's on camera.
Yes.
She looked so hot at that Harley dinner. I was like, who? Like, I would date her, and I'm gay, so she looked hot. Like, I was like, wow. And then you see her, like, then compared to the first episode, she looks 15 years younger compared to the first episode. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? It's not even almost. It's incredible. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't know what
it's weird.
happened. I don't get it. Benjamin Button, you know, but
Yeah.
I'm like, more power to you. You look great.
Yeah. So Brittany makes the announcement that she and Jared are officially broken up again,
But he doesn't know it.
but he does not know. She had some sort of epiphany
Whack job.
in the middle of the night
Mhm.
to break up with him. Personally, I think the epiphany is Brow Girl, but
Mhm.
you know, I don't know. Let Brittany think that she came up with it on her own.
Right.
Whatever. So yes, the thing is she didn't tell Jared, so he has no idea, and she's just kind of ghosting him, which is very like 5th grade.
I know.
You know, that's another thing with her. She's very juvenile in a lot of her actions and comments.
Yeah, I feel that way too.
To just not text him back.
But so is he. They match each other's energy in that childish way. Oh,
Yeah.
my best friend, my post. Y'all are grown people posting each other on Instagram in a Costco cart. Like, you're the people I'm yelling at Costco. Like, get out of the way, you know? So I just.
Well, you know what's really interesting about the best friend thing is, did you see the leaked messages of Jared's where he's talking about his relationship with her?
Kind of put
He
on.
says that in order to be on camera, Brittany wanted them to refer to each other as best friends, which is super interesting considering that's all we've seen on the show.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't know who to believe. Grace says, who do you believe when you can't believe anyone?
Right.
So, like, they're both kind of nutter. So
I like it. He's probably not fully lying, but I think he is seeing that play out on TV, and he's kind of backplaying, going, "Well, we discussed that previously. That it's like, no, you didn't. You're just kooky, you know. I mean,
well, I will say, he had said, she keeps breaking up with me, but I have never broken up with her. And that seems to be the case because, again, she broke up with him and didn't tell him. So while I think he comes off very misogynistic and I made you relevant and all this bullshit, a lot of what he's saying is kind of ringing true a little bit to me because he's like, I never break up with her. And then here we go again on this episode, her saying, oh no, I broke up with him. I just didn't tell him.
but what does he want? A medal? Like, I think he thinks he's like exonerating himself. Like, well, she's the one breaking me, but you keep going back, so you're not.
And why are you texting Brow Girl?
You're not.
Why are you calling her?
Yeah, you're just not any better. Like, it's an Alexis Shannon thing. Y'all both suck. Like, at the end of the day, you both suck.
So Heather, Lisa, and Bronwyn are all grilling Brittany on Jared being an Osmond and all that stuff. But Brittany seems to really focus on Bronwyn and kind of tells her to worry about her own marriage. And I got to say, while Brittany keeps asking Bronwyn all these questions, I feel like Bronwyn is really kind of answering these like a pro.
Mm-hmm.
I am impressed with her. I find her smart, funny, messy, a weird, all of those things. She's a bit of everything. But what are your thoughts on Bronwyn?
First episode, I was not a fan. Was it leopard, cheetah, zebra? That yellow outfit was
And the hot
very
pants.
try hard to me. I don't care who you are. It would not have looked good on anybody. So that, as stupid as that is, it really rubbed me the wrong way. The first episode, I said, "Here we go. It's performative. It's performative." She has really grown on me. I love that her husband was the CEO of Palm Pilot. Like, that's incredible. And then everybody on Twitter was like, "What's Palm Pilot?" I'm like, there are, that just proves I'm old, but it's incredible. I love when these women come on that don't need the money,
Yeah.
I mean, she's got money. Her marriage is interesting. She's pretty. Some of her fashion, man, but that's okay. It's not for me. Like she says, she's very honest. She's like the hot dog dress. It was hideous, and I wouldn't have paid $10 for it. But she loves it. And she's like, "Hey, I know I look stupid and I love it." Okay. Like, I love that about it. I wish I had half that confidence. So I'm like, what am I mad about? It's ugly, but I'm not mad at it. Like, you go, girl.
That's actually a great word to describe her. Confident.
Yeah.
She's very confident. Are you a fan?
I really like her. Yeah, I think that she's very quick. Like, a lot of these housewives don't ever make the points that I want them to in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like she did that, especially at that dinner with Brittany. Like, she threw out everything that I would have been like, "Why didn't you say this?" So I think she's really quick. Yeah, I like her fashion. I think it's quirky and weird. And the fact that you can own that it's weird and that it's not for everybody, I like. And yeah, her confidence thing too. That's exactly it. I think she's what a good housewife will be. And the fact that she doesn't need the money, you can just be yourself because you're not trying to keep the job.
She also doesn't seem afraid of anyone.
No.
Which is a good quality too, because a lot of times we get newbies, no offense, Maylee, but we get a lot of newbies like her where, we're episode 4 or 5, I'm not sure. And she's had one confession. Like, honestly, we didn't even know how to pronounce her name. We're doing, we were covering episode 3 and I'm like, what's her name? I don't like.
But you're also competing against Bronwyn, who just is a natural fit. And then Brittany, who, whether you like her or not, just sucks the air out of everything. So, she couldn't win regardless. I
love Brittany there. I don't like her. She's my love to hate.
Sure.
Because she reminds me a lot of Lisa Nicole on Married to Medicine, who I also love, her and Darren. So they just don't
similar
see
energy.
Themselves.
Yep.
There's like no self-awareness at all. And that's how I feel like Brittany's coming off. Like she's got to be watching this back and just cringing.
But in her head, she's explaining it all out. Like, in her head, she's justified. And it's like, you know what? How can you be mad at that level of delusion? Like, you just can't. Like, truly, I love these women because I don't like, I crave some of the confidence they have. And like, even if it's crazy and stupid and cringe, I'm like, when they own it, I couldn't be a prouder fan. I'm just like, hey, you owned it. Like, Brittany knows she's a whack job. She just hadn't really said it out loud, but she does not believe her own shit that she's normal. She knows.
So in next week's sneak peek, we see Lisa get upset with Angie for making a comment to Heather that she doesn't let her daughter play video games till 2 a.m. like Lisa does. And Lisa starts to cry and kind of calls it a low blow. It seems like a bit of an overreaction, but especially considering that Lisa mentioned her daughter, I don't know that anything is that bad. Honestly, I don't know if what Lisa said was that bad. And I don't actually think what Angie said is that bad either.
It's just tit for tat. She can dish it and can't take it. Should Angie have said that about her son? Because you're insinuating, and they always say, "Well, I didn't say it." Yeah, but we know what you were inferring.
Right.
So Lisa just she just can dish it, and when the heat's on her, she's like, "Bleh."
Well, the best part of the sneak peek is that we see Jared for the first time. He is Brittany's on again, off again, on again, currently off again boyfriend. And Brittany is talking to Lisa and says, based on Lisa's unsolicited advice, that Lisa could have ruined her relationship forever.
You'll be thanking her later.
the thought that she's blaming Lisa
Yeah.
for the way her relationship's going.
But I think that's where she's going to lose. That's where she's going to lose people. Again, we watch this show. I don't care if it's a Heather Dubrow or a Kelly Dodd. You watch this show for some level of delusion. I don't love her, but she's going to really lose me next week when she starts all that.
What do you think?
I mean, yeah, the delusion is outrageous, but I think that she needs a reason to blame somebody, and Lisa, she can blame her. So
Yeah.
it couldn't possibly be her.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So
I'm not the common denominator. Uh-huh.
Right?
Correct.
Before we start talking about Real Housewives of Orange County, we'd like to give a big thank you to Justin for joining us to talk Housewives. We're hoping to make this a monthly visit. Everyone can follow Justin on Twitter at WarthogBarbie. Thanks, Justin.
let's talk about this week's episode of Orange County.
Mm-hmm.
It started with Heather taking Gina, Jen, and Shannon for mammograms. And Gina, Shannon, and Jen were all fine, even though Jen and Gina each also had a lump and they saw something, but it ended up being benign. And
Yes.
Jen's, I think, was something had to do with her implant. And
Yes.
Gina's was like a lymph node or something like that.
Yeah. So it worked out. But let me just throw in there, never wait on this kind of thing. You know, Jen had said she had had it for a while, but she had too
Yeah.
much on her plate to go get it looked at. Early detection in breast cancer is the key. You have to go get that looked at immediately. You don't want to wait for it to go from stage 1 to stage 3 or 4. That's just crazy. In fact, I had a mammogram 2 weeks ago. I got a letter in the mail today, and it was kind of ironic because we were talking about OC, and it mentioned my breast density, which Heather was talking about, and mine is actually really good. So I didn't quite know what it meant, but watching this show, I actually had an idea of what was good and what was bad.
Right.
So women, don't put it off. You need to go and get checked early.
So Heather's results were negative, but the doctor came and told her that because of her breast density that she had a 40% chance
Yeah.
of getting breast cancer. And it does, she had said, run in her family as well. So
Yeah, that would be
that's
scary.
pretty hard to hear, that you're fine, but you might not be fine at some point.
Yeah, there was a time when I had to go every 6 months. Now it's back to every year. And it also runs in our family. But this would have been very scary news.
Yeah. So unfortunately, though, for Heather, none of the women really asked Heather how her appointment went. So Heather's carrying around these hurt feelings, but she brings them up on the London trip. I'm not really sure why she didn't just say, when they were all talking about how their appointments went, why she didn't just say, oh, this is what happened.
Yeah, volunteer the information.
Yeah,
Because we find out later that they all thought she was fine because they heard
right.
her and Gina say yay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's literally why.
Right. It wasn't anything as to that they didn't care or they weren't wondering. They actually thought she was just fine.
And she didn't volunteer anything because she was fine.
Right.
So it was all a huge misunderstanding,
Yeah, it was.
which always happens on these shows.
But it'll get carried through episode by episode.
Gotta go for 3.
Another really interesting thing that happened this episode was we all know that Shannon texted Alexis that she was not invited on the trip to London and that, you know, you're suing me, so you're not coming.
And we thought that was the end of it.
Yeah, and we thought that was the end of it. So before the women leave, Shannon gets a text from Alexis that is super shady. Shady AF, man.
Yes.
Like, about not getting invited on the trip. And it reads as follows. Hi, Shannon Bedore. I love that she uses her full name, by the way, too. Since you're hosting this amazing trip to Europe with our friends.
Our friends. Okay.
Surely you can scrounge up the funds to pay my future husband his $75,000 that you borrowed and owe him. Safe travels. Oh, God. So you had tweeted out a picture of this text message, and you had said, oh my God, Alexis. And you got a tweet back from @BomberBabe14 that said, when Shannon offered the full amount, but your future husband wouldn't sign a non-disparagement clause, and by doing that, he made it quite clear it wasn't about the money.
Yeah. Right? I mean, she's offered you the full amount. She's offered you the full amount multiple times. You don't want to sign the non-disparagement clause, then, you're shit out of luck then.
Well, I was trying to think about why he wouldn't sign it. Like, I was trying to, really sit down and think, why would he decide not to sign something that would say that he can't talk about her, but she wouldn't be able to talk about him either?
It was mutual.
So why would somebody not want that? The only thing that I can think of as to why he wouldn't want that is because Shannon has a tendency to incriminate herself. She kind of talks a lot and can kind of contradict herself, which we'll see later. And the only thing that we know from his side is what we hear from Alexis. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know. Alexis seems a little bit like a big mouth.
Yeah.
To write this text to Shannon, I don't know that she was like, John, is this okay? I think she just sent it. She seems like one of those angry, texters or just acts out of emotion very quickly. So, I don't know. I'm just wondering if there was an ulterior motive as to why he didn't sign it, because I can't figure out another reason other than that as to why he wouldn't.
The only other reason I can think of is Payback.
Mm-hmm.
He's angry at her for whatever reason, so it's a form of torture and payback. And he seems kind of like a vindictive guy.
You get that vibe?
I get the void. I get the void. It's not just a vibe, it's a void. So, I don't know. Alexis keeps coming off like an idiot to me over and over and over. I mean, first of all, these trips are paid for by production.
Yeah.
So Shannon doesn't have to scrounge up anything. So that was kind of the overwhelming comment, along with, she offered you the money, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Do you care that much what Shannon says about you?
Yeah. I know.
Oh, I mean, she's not saying you have a small dick. She's saying you're cheap.
Right, yeah. I know, and that she paid for stuff, yeah.
So who cares?
Right, I don't know. I mean, now you're back on the show and we're all talking about you.
Yeah.
So I think you would have had you just asked for the money with the promissory note, and Shannon would have paid it because she would have had to.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been the end of it. I don't get the whole thing as to why this NDA mattered at all.
I don't get it either. And she would have had to sign it as well.
Yes.
So it was the perfect solution, and neither one of them would be shit-talking each other, and she wouldn't be able to do it on the show or anything. So it was fine. If you wanted your money, you would have taken it.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
So the women arrive in London, they divide up the rooms, and then they go on a speedboat trip where the tour guide mentions that the original London Bridge is actually in the U.S. And Tamara knows that. And the reason why she knows that is that it's in Lake Havasu is because they were all there. If we go back to really classic OC, we get the brilliant flashback clip of Vicky getting hit in the head with a football.
Oh my God, it's so funny. I'm so glad they played that.
Oh, I haven't thought about that in a really long time, that clip.
It makes me want to go back and watch the season. That one, 5-second clip makes me want to rewatch the season.
It was so great. So I love that they did that, little nod there. After the boat ride, where they got whipped around back and forth. That was insane.
Yeah.
Some liked it, some were not a fan.
I think I would like it.
I think I would like it too. It seems fun.
Yeah. Except for my hair getting all wet. That would suck, but...
Right, but it seemed like they had like ponchos and hoods on and everything.
My
and,
hair is high maintenance though, so even a little bit of moisture and poof.
Well, then you couldn't survive in London because it like rains there all the time.
I probably could not. That's why I don't go outside. Ever.
Even when it's not raining.
Why take a chance?
After the boat ride, the women go to dinner, and Tamara says that she heard about everyone's mammograms except for Heather. Thank you, Tamara, for teeing that off quickly. Right. It's not like you talked to Heather right before and said, hey, you want me to ask about it? You want me to mention it?
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, they're literally rooming together. And,
right, yeah.
You know, exactly. That's exactly what happened.
So Heather lets everyone know that no one ever asked her about hers. And Shannon speaks up and is like, we heard you yell, yay. So we assumed that that was for both of you and Gina. And Heather says, no, it isn't. And just Gina. And she starts crying that no one was worried about her or cared enough to ask about her results. And Shannon and Jen apologize, but Gina just doesn't really understand why Heather is waiting this long to bring it up. I don't know. Do you think Heather's being fair here? Or are you more on the Gina side? Or would you just do what Shannon and Jen did?
I think a combination. I understand why Heather's hurt not knowing what happened, but after I heard Shannon say, no, we heard you guys yell yay from your room. That was all good news. Then I would recognize that it's all a misunderstanding. They didn't ask me because they didn't feel they needed to ask me because they thought it was great news. So after hearing that, I would understand. Mm-hmm. And then I understand what Gina's saying too. Like, you know, you're mad at me for not telling you Katie said something months ago, and then you're going to withhold this and just stew on it?
Yeah.
No, I get it.
No, I totally see Gina's point here because it's like we literally just had a fight about that. The same exact thing, just different role reversal. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I understand why Heather would feel hurt in the moment, but the easiest way to get your point across there is just tell them what happened then.
Right.
If they didn't ask, just say it.
Right.
You didn't have to be hurt. You could have literally said it in the moment, and then they all would have talked about it there, and it could have been done. So, or after you were done with the appointment, then call Gina, call Jen, and call Shannon if you wanted, or text them or whatever. But it just seemed really weird that she waited this long.
Absolutely. They were all standing there. The time to bring it up would have been then. And like, I'm really glad to hear that you guys all had good appointments. Mine was kind of so because of this.
Right.
And then go into it. And then they would have said, oh my God, you know, they all felt that way. They all cared.
Yeah.
She just being a bit dramatic.
So after we get through that discussion and that point, then Tamara brings up John Jansen's lawsuit against Shannon and asks Shannon about her hour interview on Jeff Lewis's radio show. It's a little bit confusing because Heather accuses Shannon of lying to her and changing her story. And Shannon, I quote this here too, there was no promissory note, nothing discussed prior and after, never asked me for the money. Then a day or two later, he sends me a promissory note.
Yeah.
What? What?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you find this confusing as well because I'm not quite sure what's going on. I don't know if Shannon just doesn't want to talk about it, but then says one thing to one person and something to another. I don't know if her lawyer tells her not to say something. Mm-hmm. Jeff Lewis is just an instigator.
Right. Doesn't matter. He could be your best friend or not, and he will instigate no matter what.
And he has no facts, like he said.
Right.
He goes, I don't know if this is true or not, but... And then he leaves the mess for Shannon to clean up. You know, thanks, pal.
Right, exactly. Yeah, thanks, friend. No, I know. I don't know why Shannon can't keep her story straight. She seems like when she's asked, I don't know why you wouldn't just say, it's a lawsuit and I'm not going to talk about it. I realize that we're on a reality TV show, and so obviously people want to know about the lawsuit, but I just don't think she does herself any favors when she opens her mouth because she's not quite clear on what's going on. And then it leaves room to be like, what are you talking about? Well, you did lie, because we know that now because we saw Jeff Lewis post a video where he specifically said, yes, Shannon did lie on my show.
She had a reason for it,
but yes, she did.
Yes.
Because they had talked about it previously. So the women here aren't necessarily wrong, but I just wish that Shannon would calm down for a minute and think about what she's going to say before she says it, because this is extremely confusing. This makes no sense.
Let me just say that if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you told other people. So if you're lying and then you tell the truth, it's not going to go well. You're going to have to try to remember what you've said. Or like you said, or I can't talk about it. I can't comment. Either one, the whole truth.
Yes.
Or that you can't comment on it, because you can't be giving different people different stories.
So Heather, in this instance, when she's talking to Shannon, she says that she feels used. And what are your thoughts on that? Because I kind of think that used might not be the correct word, but I definitely think Shannon was not as completely forthright as she could have been.
Yeah, I don't think she used Heather. If you remember back at that moment, she seemed completely broken, in my opinion. I mean, I think she desperately needed a friend to talk to, and she chose Heather. So I actually understand Shannon saying, I feel betrayed by Heather. What are you talking about? I was crying. I showed you a photo I haven't showed anybody.
Right.
And I just needed a friend to talk to. So I'm not quite sure what Heather's getting at. Maybe Heather has felt this the entire time and is just finally saying these things to agree with Tamra now. And I don't quite know why now.
Yeah, I don't really know why now either, because I agree with Gina and Jen, because they're like, well, I think she was just talking to you. She was just kind of being a sounding board there.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's really what it was. So I think to say that she was used, not quite. Did she lie? Yes, though.
Because that would imply calculation.
Yes.
Like she sat you down and showed you this to use you.
Yes.
And it was all calculated.
Right. Well, that's what Heather said in her confessional. That's what she literally thought that it was.
I didn't get that vibe at all.
Going with that, huh? Again? Do we like that?
Oh, should I try to do a British accent?
Well, you probably do it better than Gina.
No, because I don't know if I can.
So after they get done talking about the whole Jeff Lewis thing, Shannon walks out of another dinner again. Oh my God. Yeah. Shannon, just sit your ass down. Like, I don't really know why she's continuing to walk out of dinners like this, because in the very beginning episode, the very first episode, I don't know where that cool, calm Shannon went when she was talking to Alexis. Where is that person? And where did she go? Because she's not here anymore.
Plus, she had backup. This was not a table full of women against her.
Right.
She had Jen and she had Gina. And, I mean, Katie didn't really say too much, but it was basically Heather and Tamra versus Shannon. And then Shannon had backup. So they even spoke up.
Yeah.
I mean, Jen spoke up.
Yeah, and so did
on
Gina.
her behalf. So, so I don't think she does herself zero favors leaving.
Yeah, it's just you disrupt everything going on in the filming of the show when you just get up and leave. It doesn't work. I don't like when anybody does it. So it's not just
nothing
her.
Can get resolved when you leave. There's a chance when you're sitting there that you present your side and you either change minds or you don't, but it's out there.
Right.
And then you can move on whether it's resolved or not.
Right.
Like, okay, we're not going to get anywhere. Drop it. But that can't even happen when the person leaves.
I know.
Yes, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, that's why I wish that she would just take a minute. Shannon tends to do that thing where she goes, wow.
Yes,
wow.
she does.
Like to try, I don't know if that is to buy herself time to what she's going to think about and say next, or if it's just her I don't know.
Yeah, she does do that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But seriously though, everybody, stop leaving dinners. You're driving me crazy.
Yeah.
So we know that Gina will leave to go after Shannon, but before that happens and Shannon's leaving, Gina does say this one thing where she's like, well, does the lie really matter? I thought this is where I disagree with Gina here, is I do think it matters, but I don't know if you do or not.
Well, explain to me your point of view.
Well, I think that it's exactly what you said about if you always tell the truth, then you don't have to lie and you can keep your story straight. Mm-hmm. I don't really know how Shannon's memory works. I think she forgets a lot of the time what she tells people and then ends up lying. If all Shannon had said was, well, you know what? Yeah, I get it. I did say that I didn't know. And Heather, I do realize that I had talked to you about that and I said I had thought of it. It's because I'm dealing with this lawsuit right now and I really just didn't want to bring any attention to it on the show.
And Jeff put me on the spot.
That was literally your answer.
Yeah.
But instead, I think that Shannon makes a big deal out of a lot of this. It didn't have to be. Mm-hmm. When you get up and walk away, you've just literally made it a huge deal. So I don't know. Gina says it doesn't matter. I think it kind of matters a little bit because I think these women get called out for everything. And the fact that you have proof that you actually lied, it's like, oh my God, we have proof. We're definitely coming at your ass if we have literal video proof.
Right. I think maybe in that moment, Gina's like, look at all she's going through. Do you care that it was said one way and she meant it another way? Like, pick your battles, kind of. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. They keep going around and around on this. So, if you're not going to agree, let's just move on.
So, Gina goes after Shannon just to see if she's okay. And holy shit, I was not expecting this. This was the bombshell drop, literally, of the episode. When Shannon reveals to her that when she was getting ready to text Alexis about not inviting her on the group trip, a text message from June of 2018 popped up under Alexis's phone number saying, Shannon, everything you and Tamara have said in the media since the divorce are lies. We have engaged an attorney and will be suing you and Tamara for slander and defamation. And then it goes on a little bit, but it ends with Alexis texting, you will be hearing from our attorney tomorrow, Alexis.
Boom. Literally, those are receipts right there.
Yes.
You want the receipts, baby girl? I got the receipts. That's it.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Alexis flat out lied.
Mm-hmm.
She said, show me receipts, I did it. And on some fluke.
Yeah, on a fluke.
Just by adding her phone number back in.
That's the best kind of receipt.
Yeah,
is the one that you don't know that you have.
I know. Oh my God. Could you imagine her face with that shit? And then she texted Tamara. Right. And showed Tamara.
Uh-huh. And Shannon had texted her and said it came from her phone. And then Tamara replied and said, OMG, I remember that. I never got it because she didn't have my phone number. Because, at the time, they weren't filming or anything.
So this is going to be kind of tricky because Tamara's very much Team Alexis, but maybe just be Team Truth.
Right, yeah.
Like, okay, Alexis fucked up here. She kept saying that she had no part of it, and it was after her and Jim the Chin divorced. Mm-hmm. And that is clearly a lie.
Yes, very much so. I think it's funny, too, because the fact that it said that they were already divorced and that they were doing this together, there is not really many things that could bring a divorced couple together than a defamation lawsuit. Like, oh my gosh,
Right?
Like, you were divorcing him, though. Like, I don't understand. You're still riding for him. I would be like, you ass.
No, she's not riding for him. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And since they wanted cash for what Tamara and Shannon said, they were willing to put aside any of their differences to go after them as a collective unit. That's it. It was all about the cash.
So, yeah, in next week's episode, then, we will continue with this Shannon versus Heather and Tamara about the lawsuit, and we'll hear more about that at the dinner that they have. Tamara does not seem receptive.
No, I think she just says, shut up.
Right.
Which is, come on. She has a smoking gun here.
Yeah.
Shannon has a smoking gun of a receipt. You got to address it.
So maybe she does, and Tamara says, shut up to something else, because it could have been spliced that way very easily, but I don't know. Yeah, if that was your answer to that, I would be like, really?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I know.
But I don't think it is. So we see that, and then also in next week's episode, Jen goes into Tamara and Heather's room and brings up that Tamara did a background check on Ryan.
Yeah. This is the first time hearing of that.
Yeah. I know. That didn't come up. I wonder when that was.
I'm guessing after there were rumblings of FBI investigations that...
You want to know what's going on?
Yeah. Maybe Tamara took a class and got a free FBI hat.
Oh, that's probably where she got it.
Yeah.
Or she called...
Become a detective.
Or she called Lisa Nicole and was like, hey, you know that guy that you had to do your background checks and stuff? Do you have a good person?
Yeah. Or Quad.
Or Quad. Yeah, Quad's guy was...
They met at a diner. That's the way to go. Bravo crossovers. We love them.
But I'm looking forward to next week. We'll see what happens.
Great season. I'm super excited for next week.
Let's talk about this week's episode of Real Housewives of Potomac. The episode starts off with the conclusion of Giselle's hatitude luncheon, and Giselle and Karen apologize to Mia for insulting her parenting. Mia kind of moves on, but this is kind of far from over. She's still annoyed.
Absolutely annoyed, and she'll do something about it.
Right. I'm not even sure why they brought it up. It was kind of dumb, but...
Agreed.
Then we go to a scene of Giselle and Wendy having lunch to clear the air and get their friendship back on track. We're not going to really go into this too much, especially because it was such a short part of the episode. But Wendy mentioned on social media that the lunch was actually over 2 hours and they literally covered everything.
Yeah, they barely scratched the surface. So there's so much more that happened in this episode. So we're just kind of going to skip over this.
But I feel like this is what happens when Robin's not there. Giselle has to, get along with everybody else, and you have to have these conversations. So,
and they were friends at one point. So.
Yeah, they were. So I'm happy that this happened and that it actually seemed like it went well. From the little bit we saw, the tone of the conversation seemed to go well.
I think Robin leaving is a win-win for all of us.
So we'll talk about the newbie Stacey here because she got a longer segment this episode. I think she's going to be a pretty great addition to the cast here. She kind of fills us in on her personal life a little bit, and there's actually a lot that she mentions. She still lives in the home with her ex-husband as they're going through their divorce.
The way I gasped.
Yeah.
And then what was really funny was the way Ashley judged that.
Oh my God, I know.
I'm like, girl, oh my God, you're still married. What are you talking about?
She's the most single married person I've ever met.
And she lived with him for a long time too.
Oh yeah.
And then they still have a joint credit card, and the list can go on and on. So
right.
That just made me chuckle.
Yeah.
Okay, Ashley.
So back to Stacey here.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I know, it was funny though. Yeah. So Stacey says that her and her ex-husband sleep in separate bedrooms. They haven't told their 8-year-old daughter yet. And she also mentions that this has been going on for like a year. They've been divorced almost, or in the process of getting divorced.
I think she said over a year.
Yeah.
Yes. How do you not tell your kid?
Yeah, I don't know who thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, Not me.
Well, if she didn't know, she knows now. They're both dating other people. So Stacey's dating
Christian guy.
Right. And then her ex-husband's dating somebody too. Yeah, if it's been over a year, I can imagine that you're probably moving on. What a question for your 8-year-old daughter. Are you not together with the person ever?
Well, I mean, they're in separate bedrooms, so that would be kind of obvious, wouldn't it? Even to an 8-year-old?
Right,
I mean, they're not stupid.
I know.
So, like, why aren't mommy and daddy in the same bedroom?
I know. I would agree. And then Stacey also says that her and her current boyfriend of several months aren't intimate because he's a devout Christian and wants to wait till marriage.
Yeah, we covered that last week.
Right. And Ashley's kind of too like, huh?
Wouldn't be me.
It wouldn't be me. Exactly. So I think that Stacey has a lot here to unpack that we can see this season.
Oh, I agree. I think she's going to be great. Plus, she gets so outraged at a lot of this stuff that we see all the time on here, and shocked.
Right.
So I think she's going to be great.
Yeah, she doesn't know what's coming.
I like her.
I do too. I like her too. So then after that scene with Stacey, we get a scene with Kiarna and Karen and also a scene with Ashley and Stacey. But we're just kind of going to jump to the scene with Giselle and Karen because it sets up the whole rest of the episode.
Yeah, that's good.
So Karen shows up to Giselle's house. Ray offers to drive Karen and to discuss the luncheon and just other stuff. But before they even get started, Giselle makes what seems like a dig at how Karen got to her house, asking if she Ubered.
Yeah, now, did Ray offer to drive or is Ray required to drive? We don't really know. It's all a mystery.
Yeah. Oh, God. Right. So I don't know if Giselle meant it as a dig. Probably. I tend to think more on the side of yes than no, but they're kind of frenemies, so I never really know. Sometimes they're kind of cool, but there's always that little bit of,
Well, didn't Karen make some sort of comment about all her digs?
Oh, yeah. She said that she either makes so many digs or that whatever, but that's why she likes her.
Yeah.
That's why she's friends
Which
with
I thought
her.
was funny, actually.
I know. I thought it was, or that she's, either snarky or that she, yeah. It was very funny in her confessional. Karen said that. But yeah, we also see that Ray drops her off, and I would assume that Giselle would have seen Ray drop her off too. She had to answer the front door.
I don't think any of this is out of concern.
No, I don't
really
either.
don't. And I don't care, and Karen doesn't seem to care, so,
Right, yeah. It's just like that, on the surface. It'll eventually become one big thing, but,
Right.
So Giselle brings up an event she's hosting with the National Brain Tumor Society in honor of her father, who passed away from a brain tumor 12 days after being diagnosed.
That's rough.
That's horrible.
I can't imagine. You're just so unprepared to lose somebody that quickly.
Yeah. So I didn't realize it was that
I didn't
quickly
either.
So everyone in the group has RSVP'd, including Karen, to Giselle's event, the GNA event for brain tumors.
Yes.
And throughout the conversation, Karen continues to say that she will attend Giselle's event, even though we as the audience see the events are at the same time.
Yeah, they flash down at the bottom of the screen. It's from 6 to 9. And Giselle's event with Ashley ends at 9.
Yeah.
So Karen keeps saying she's going to be there and everybody's going to be there. And I'm thinking this is going to be a disaster.
So do you think that Karen actually remembered that her event ended at 9? Like, or do you just think she was kind of like really not paying attention?
Absolutely, she knew. Yes. I mean, come on. You're being honored for an event. You don't know when it is. Giselle even said, oh, so yours must be a luncheon.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if Giselle was fishing because Giselle said she got an invitation as well.
Right,
So,
but at the time she said that she got the invitation. Karen, I don't even think was being honored.
no, but it would have had the time on it.
Right, it would have.
So
Yeah.
she would have known it was from 6 to 9. So she keeps kind of
Oh, that's
fishing
true.
for Karen to say,
Yeah,
oh,
I'm
you're
not
going to a
going.
luncheon then, Karen? It's at lunchtime?
Uh-huh.
I think she knew then that Karen wouldn't be at hers. I just don't think she knew what was coming up at 6:30 in the morning.
See, oh yeah, definitely not at 6:30 in the morning. But I don't know that Karen knew. Karen seems very aloof on this entire
for an
thing.
event that's honoring her, you don't think she knew? I think
You know
she
what?
knew everything. She knew what meatballs were being served. She knew what drinks were she knew everything.
Well, she sold me on it. So you know what? I agree with you, but she sold me when I was watching it.
Okay.
So that's all that really matters, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
Did you buy her 3-wick candle then too?
oh God.
Did she sell you that?
Well, she sold me that a 3-wick candle is better than a 1-wick candle. But you're right, though. Yeah, Giselle did not know what was about to happen at 6:30 in the morning.
Storm coming.
In a beautifully done segue, the next scene is us watching 6:30 a.m. flash on the screen and Giselle talking about the group text that they all received that next morning from Karen. And it reads as follows.
Proceed.
Ladies are all invited. Booked and busy in this group as always. There are 2 events scheduled at the same time. I encourage all support both events if you would like. Transportation shuttle service has been graciously offered by Jazzy to all who wish, from the femme-powered, where I will be honored, back to the GNA event to support our Fab Sisters GNA event. Oh, God. Karen. So Giselle responds to the group text with, no need for ladies to be running all over town. Please all go to Karen's event.
I can hear her voice as I
know.
read it.
So there's a lot to unpack here. The first thing I'll ask you is this tacky on Karen's part to invite everyone to go to her event first when everyone, including Karen, has RSVP'd to Giselle's event?
Tacky AF. Yes. It's awful. Look, once Karen knew that the events were at the same time, and I don't know, like, let's just say, for argument's sake, that you're right, that she did not know, and she got home and looked at the invitation. What Karen should have done was sent a group text to everybody, if this group text is necessary, and said, we all RSVP'd to Giselle's event. I can't make it. It's literally from 6 to 9, and Giselle's event is from 7 to 9. So everybody go to Giselle's event. You all RSVP'd. I understand. Would I love you guys to be at mine? Yes, but it's too much. I made the mistake.
Right.
That's what should have happened. That's not what happened. Come on. Inviting them to yours first?
Well, I can't believe that all the women responded in the way that they did and that they actually made the effort to go to both. That has actually surprised me first.
I think the whole thing could have been avoided if Karen had just been gracious about it. I think her ego got in the way. She wanted them all at her event, and it wasn't possible.
Yeah,
and
I
this
know.
It wasn't just for GNA. It was for Giselle's dad. It
Yeah.
was in his honor. So I think it was really shitty.
I think it was shitty too. I mean, you know that this means a lot to Giselle because it has to do with her father.
Yes.
This was actually only 10 months ago. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Like that he had only passed away 10 months ago. It's not even been a year.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know.
Let her have this one.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Let her have it. So you had tweeted out, okay, after it was explained that Karen invited Giselle's guests to her event on the same day, just earlier, would you go to both if you were going to be late or go to just Giselle's? And you got a response back from @MarioKiki, who said, I would have gone to the event I was invited first.
Cosign.
I would agree. I think that they should have went there first.
Yes.
And Mario also said, I think Karen is being strategic to distract from her DUI. If the focus becomes her etiquette regarding this party and the reactions, we shan't discuss deers and beers. Deers
Okay.
and beers.
I will admit I hadn't thought of this.
No, I hadn't thought of it either.
Is Karen that calculated? She could be.
Yeah, I don't put it past her.
Yeah.
Especially because Giselle keeps bringing it up. Like,
I know.
kind of every time.
They all do.
Yeah, they all do.
I mean, hey, you got to take your lumps.
Mm-hmm.
You did something incredibly stupid. So,
Twice.
yeah. Thank you, Ashley.
I know.
So, I mean, you're going to take some hits and you just got to take it. But I had not thought about it. And it's an interesting theory.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting theory and a plausible theory. So, but I'm sorry, I can't get past the deers and beers thing. I'm still hung up on that. I just think it's so funny.
I saw a GIF somebody had tweeted out that was referring to Nene saying, "Now why am I being brought into this?" And it was a deer, and I died.
Oh my God.
It's like the deer was like nowhere near her car.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Deer wasn't even in the picture either.
It wasn't in the police report. It wasn't in anything.
Right.
But now all of a sudden,
Yep.
the phantom deer. So the whole thing's funny. Yeah. I mean,
You're right.
the deer's funny, not
deer's
the DUI.
So what ends up happening is Sweet Vivian and Jacqueline go directly to Giselle's event she's hosting with Ashley. Giselle really appreciated this. You could
Especially
tell.
since Vivian is Karen's friend.
Exactly, right?
I think her reason was literally, I RSVP'd 2 years first.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, like
Thank
that's
you.
it. Right,
That
I
would
know.
be in Countess Luann's etiquette book.
She probably read it.
Yeah. Go to the party you RSVP to first.
Exactly. All the other women, Wendy, Mia, Jazzy, Kiarna, and Stacey, go to Karen's first. Wendy and Kiarna decide to stay at Karen's because they literally just arrived. So they were like, we're just going to stay. And then when it was time to leave again, Jazzy, Stacey, and Mia go to Giselle's.
Yes.
Do you think that this is rude on Wendy and Kiarna's part when they had already RSVP'd for another event for Giselle's?
I do. I understand why they wanted to stay. They're both closer to Karen, especially Kiarna now.
Yeah.
I mean, Karen was there for her at that other event where she got hit with the glass. So I understand why you want to. However, you RSVP'd to Giselle's. And I just think it's, you're not even going to show. You're going to be a no-show.
Right.
That's not cool.
Yeah. I don't think it's cool either. If you said that you were going to go, then go. I care a little bit more, I guess, about Wendy not going than Kiarna. Just because the last time Kiarna went to an event, a GNA event, it did not go well.
Yeah.
So, but nobody like that would be at this event either.
Right.
But I think it would have showed Giselle that Wendy was serious about their friendship if she
Good
tried
point.
to make that effort. So I think that she really should have. Or at the very least, make a higher donation then. You know, like, be like...
Those are both excellent points. Yes, I agree.
So, I mean, I don't know if Wendy did make a donation, so I'm not going to say that she didn't, but
Right.
I don't know, but I think that she should have. It turns out that the women arrived to the GNA event at 8:03 p.m., 3 minutes late, and when they go inside, Giselle stops them, asks them to leave, and even goes so far as to call security over to escort them out. The women are pissed, and they're kind of like, what's going on? You told us that we had until 8 p.m., and Ashley says it's 8:03.
Yeah, Ashley wasn't playing. She literally was very succinct. It's 8:03. As though, like, argument over, people.
Right.
You're late.
Yeah. So the episode ends with the women getting thrown out. That's what's going to happen. There is a first look out already available. You posted it on your Twitter.
I did.
That will show the aftermath of this fight and what's going to happen. So if you're interested, go
God,
look.
watch it. It's
Please,
good.
yeah, please
it's
watch
so
it.
good.
So what are your thoughts on this entire thing? Because I have my own thoughts, and I don't know if they're similar to yours, this for the first time ever.
So it ends with Giselle wanting them to leave. And I understand why she's as mad as she is. I totally get it. I think the problem is that Giselle and Ashley didn't communicate well. Because if Giselle had said, they RSVP'd, I don't want them coming. I don't care what time they get here. If they're not here when the event opens, they're not welcome. Ashley should have relayed that message. And I think Giselle kind of did. Like, I don't want them coming. She even said in the group text, just go to Karen's.
Right. Which the underlying tone there is, if you're not going to come,
Yes.
don't come at all.
Exactly. If you're not going to come on time, don't come at all.
Yeah.
So I understand all that. Ashley kind of left the door open a little bit where she said you can come by 8.
Yes. Yes.
And that was the mistake, because then they're like, okay, we're shooting for 8. We're shooting for 8. 8:03, 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
For me,
Mm-hmm.
that's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, okay, they made it here by 8. We only have an hour left. I would probably be really pissy
Yeah.
and cold and don't talk to me, but thanks for coming and write a check.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll get over it based on how much you've donated.
Right.
But I don't think I would have thrown them out. I think I just would have given them the cold shoulder.
Okay. I disagree.
Okay. Well, hey, that's fine.
I think that the women were incredibly rude to show up at 8:03.
Yeah.
I think actually that it was fine that they threw them out because Ashley said that they were going to. Ashley specifically told them, if you do not arrive by 8, you're getting kicked out. That is actually literally what she said, or you're not getting in.
Yeah, I missed that part the first time around.
Mia had actually said it to Karen when they were at Karen's event, because Karen said, okay, now you guys go and you guys can, make sure to make their event. And that's what Mia said to Karen. And right there, I'm like, okay, well, she literally spelled it out for you. Late is late, in my opinion. Like take retail stores. Retail stores close at a certain time. You're 3 minutes late. Too bad. I'm not opening the door. It's closed. So I don't understand why the women can't be on time. And also, the problem is they did not leave to attend Karen's event till 6:30. The event started at 6.
You're right. They showed the time that they were all getting in the van, and it started at 6, which means they could have left at 5:45.
Exactly. If you had left just even a little bit earlier, you would have made it to both. You would have made it to Giselle's around like 7:30, 7:45-ish. You would have had plenty of time. But you guys were what, farting around? What were you doing? Why can nobody be on time?
Well, I just want to say that I am stealing your argument, and I'm going to post it on Twitter as mine, that they left at 6:30, because that's an excellent point.
Like, if you really wanted to make the effort to go to both, then leave earlier. Yeah. Be ready earlier.
Yes.
Everybody could have done that. And it's just like, I feel like we see this a lot on other Housewives shows, like Dorit specifically.
Oh my God. Yes, nobody respects anybody's time.
And it's like, come on. So that to me bothered me. That was annoying.
That's completely valid and fair. And I and a lot of times I hear people's arguments on Twitter or now where my mind gets changed, and I completely agree with you.
Oh, good. I love that.
Well, it's now my argument to make on Twitter.
Okay. So, I don't know. I just think that
they were warned.
Yeah. They were literally warned. Ashley said, do not do that. And you didn't take her seriously. You didn't listen. You did not make the effort. You did not leave when you should have left. And honestly, what I would have done is actually went to Giselle's first. I don't know why they didn't go to Giselle's event first. You said you were going to go there first when it starts, and then go to Karen's after. Because Wendy had literally said Karen hadn't received her award by that point when they got there. That when they got there, it was 7:09. And when they were leaving, it was 7:39. So you could have went to Giselle's first, been there for like 2 hours because you said you were going to go, then left early. You could have wrote a check for a donation, and then you could have left, and everything would have been fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't blame them for kicking him out, and I don't get why they're pissed.
Yeah, I mean, Stacey was very embarrassed.
Yeah.
But you were also very late. Did Giselle's event start at 7 or 6, like Karen's?
I am not.
I thought it was 7 to 9.
It might have been. I'm not 100% sure because when Ashley talked to Giselle just sitting there, it was 6:30 because she's like, well, hopefully they'll be here around 7:30.
And there were people there already?
I couldn't tell. I don't know
okay.
if there was. So my guess is that it either started at around 6:30 or 7.
Well, I do think it probably was smarter to go to Karen's first because it started at 6. Had they been there on time...
Right. Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah.
They could have left by 6:45 and like, Karen... I'm sorry you didn't get your award yet, but we have to leave. And they would have at least shown their support.
Yeah.
But, yeah. The whole thing was just handled poorly.
Yeah, it was.
And it all started with Karen.
Yeah.
Making them go to both,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
So I was really disappointed with this entire thing. And I never agree with Giselle, like literally ever.
Right.
And I'm like, you guys suck. Why weren't you there for her?
Yeah, I agree. You changed my mind.
Yes. Thanks for listening to episode 22 of Nice-ish. You can follow us on Instagram or Twitter at Nice-ish Podcast or at Love Cindy C. You can listen to Nice-ish wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Look for new episodes every Monday. Thank you for listening and have a nice-ish day.